Hello out there folks, hope you're all doing well. Very excited to bring you this new video. Coming up in this video, you can feel every little bump. We're side by side with an AI car here. We're lifting slightly for this corner, I don't want to come off again. And as you can plainly see there, that is footage from Rfactor 2, because in this video we're going to be looking at the brand new build of the simulation by Studio 397 that came out on Monday of this week, and also all of the new content that they've released along with that build. That is 4 brand new tracks and 2 brand new cars. Now, before I go any further, welcome back to the channel if you are a subscriber, and thank you very much for your continued support both on YouTube and on Patreon. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, or find it useful, click that subscribe button to get updates on future videos I do, or to come and join me on my live server where I race with my subscribers live on YouTube. So, in this video, we'll be looking at the new build of Rfactor 2, and what I'm going to do is go over some of the minor improvements, some of the little housekeeping improvements to the sim, and then we're going to go out and have a look at the cars on track, and I'm going to do a few laps of each track in a race situation with the AI, because I can tell you what I think of the new content, but that's my opinion. Hopefully in this video you'll actually get to, you can see it for yourself. You can see the way the cars are behaving. You can see the tracks from my perspective as a driver, or from what would be yours if you were driving, and you can make that decision for yourself. And let me know in the contents, or in the comments rather, what you think. So let's jump in. First question I have for you, by the way, there in the comments, is what do you think of the pricing of the new content? Because this has been a point of some controversy. Some people say it's a little bit too expensive. Now, Rfactor, if you were to tier the sims, for instance, you've got ACC or Assetto Corsa Competizione and Automobilista 2, which are a little bit cheaper than Rfactor. Then you've got Rfactor. Then you've got iRacing, which is the most expensive. However, having said that, if I was to buy, say, the American track pack for Assetto Corsa Competizione, which I own, and I've already bought, it's gonna. I think that came through at about 15 or 17 English pounds, and for that I got 3 laser scan tracks. Now, if you buy the whole Q4 pack, which you can now come to Rfactor 2's new built-in store, which is great for seeing what content you already own and what you don't. So I can see all the packs that I've not bought in here. I've bought most of them, and I can see down here that my Q4 all-in pack is there. That's pretty good. If you buy that whole pack, which gets you all of the new content, that's the 4 new tracks and the 2 new cars, it comes in at about 25 quid, which is about a tenner cheaper than buying it all separately. Now, in comparison to the ACC pack, what do I, with ACC for 15 or 17 quid, I got 3 laser scan tracks. With this, for my extra tenner, what am I getting? I'm getting 4 laser scan tracks. One of them, because all of the tracks with the ACC pack are just a single layout, one of the tracks in this pack, which is Bahrain, the first ever laser scan version of it, there are 4 different layouts of it. 4! So I'm pretty much getting, you know, 7 tracks there for the, or 4 tracks for the price of 1, but 7 in all. And then I'm getting the 2 cars as well. So I think it's kind of fair, but that's my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. So let's go over some little housekeeping improvements. So in the UI now, there's little improvements. Things like getting through your selectable options quicker. So I've got 19 AI drivers here, and let's take that down to 0. Now, previously, because you can add up to 104 cars on track in Rfactor 2, if you wanted a large grid, say 60, you'd have to click through, hold down your left mouse button, and it would go up at that sort of speed, which just means it would take you forever to get to 60. However, now, if I use my middle mouse button, it goes up in increments of 50, and if I use my right mouse button to get to 60, goes up in increments of 10. so much easier. Also, to come back down again, I'm just going to hold down my left mouse button. Now, when I hold down the left mouse button, it starts off slow, but then it speeds up exponentially. So you get back down to 19 drivers a lot quicker. In fact, that's so quick I've gone way past it. So there's our 19 drivers. So that's a lovely little thing. There's also now a function where you can quit the game if you suddenly need to leave your computer quickly. You can quit the game without having to come out. Say if you're at a track racing, you don't have to come out of the track, then come out of the UI and then exit the game. You can just press Alt, X and F4 from anywhere inside the game and the whole thing shuts down just like that, which is brilliant, really. It just really helps out. Anyway, what you guys want to see is the content. So we're going to go out with 19 AI to each track and have a few laps of a race round so you can see how the AI are behaving. One of those tracks, by the way, is going to be, well, it's the other controversial part of this this content drop, and that is because we've got two BTCC tracks. We've got Bahrain, and then you've got the London Formula E track. Oh, yeah. A lot of people were a bit spooked when that was announced. It's kind of the odd one out. And there are a lot of people out there who are vehemently not fans of Formula E. Well, I'm going to say for that one, stick around. Because even if you're a Petrolhead, it's worth getting the Q4 pack just to get that track for free. Because I'll tell you what, having driven it now, if I didn't have it, I'd want it. Anyway, more on that later. We're going to go to Thruxton first. So let's go and select our track. Now, another nice thing just to bring up here about the UI, and this is not a new feature. It's been in the UI for a while now, but I just thought I'd point it out. To get to Croft, I've got to scroll through all of these tracks, go right up to the top to see. But because of the search option, it's really easy. I'll just type in the first few letters of the track, and there it is. It comes straight up there. That's, oh, sorry, I've selected Croft. We wanted Thruxton, didn't we? So, Thrux. There we go. And I've accidentally put a D in there, but there we go. It's come straight up, and we can select it. And it's the same with the car as well. So I want the brand new BTCC BMW 330i. So I could type in BMW. That would bring up all the BMWs. So here we go. Get your spelling right, Paul. BMW. That brings up all of those. Or I could just type in 330. And there it is. Straight away. That's just a really nice little thing. So let's get out on track and I'll see you when the track is loaded. So here we are at Thruxton. Now Thruxton I'm a bit used to because I've driven different modded versions of it, because of course Rfactor 2 has an amazing mod scene, and there are thousands of cars and tracks available. So I'm quite used to the track. I have to say this is the best version of it I've ever driven. You make your own decisions on that, but this laser scan version of it is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go out on track, start a race, and just talk through a few things I've discovered about the track, what I think of the car whilst we're driving around. And you can see, you can ignore me totally if you like, and just see how the AI deal with their lines around the track and how they deal with me as well. Before I go out there, I want to know what tyres they are on. And this is another thing I love about Rfactor 2. I can click here in live timing, and look, it shows me what tyres they're on. They're all on hard tyres because by default, this track is set up with restrictions. So these cars come with soft tyres, medium tyres, hards, wets, so on. However, I think the default for this track is limited tyre sets, so you are only limited to hard and wet. It's different at different tracks, and if you don't agree with those rules, you can go into where you customise the car. You can force what tyre sets you are allowed. So you could come here and race with soft tyres if you wanted. Also, you can choose in the car customization screen with the BTCC cars to have the 2022 version, which has the push to pass, or the 2021, which doesn't. I'm using the 2021 here. But they're all on hards, so that's what I'm going to go with because it's my only option. Oh, also, they've changed a couple of things about, in this build, they've changed a couple of things about the BTCC cars. So, for instance, they've taken out the gear protection. system, so you can change up and down whenever you like. Because in real life, the BTCC cars don't have gear protection. So it's nice that they are staying close to reality, because, you know, we're all after realism in these sims. And also, was there another thing? I think there was, about the BTCC cars. I can't remember at the moment, but I'll come back to it. So let's just get out there on track and drive. So here we are, and I've got it set to early evening, and you can see the sun's quite low in the sky. The shadows it's creating are fantastic. So, oh yes, that other thing I meant to tell you about was that previously you could select different types of tyres for the front and rear. Now you can only select tyres for both front and rear. I think it's something to do with the BTC rules. So you can't say, if you're in a front wheel drive car, put hards on the front so they wear less, because of course the front wheel drive cars chew up the tyres a lot. You can't put hards on the front and softs on the back. It's either hards or softs all the way around. Anyway, this is the track. I've already made a position on the AI there, but it looks like he's taking it back. No. Now, AI. The AI in Rfactor 2, I've found for a long time, in my experience of them, that they kind of obey the if you have the nose, it's your corner rule. So basically, oh, being properly overtaken there by the Infinity on my outside. If I go into the corner and I'm behind another car, but I'm up beside them, but maybe on their back quarter, and we get into a corner, I'm going to have to yield, because they are going to take the corner. It's their corner. You cannot bully the AI in Rfactor 2 like you can in some sims. They will not have it. They will put up a fight. However, if you're slightly in front, so I'm now slightly in front of the purple Toyota, he has yielded. He stayed close, but he yielded and let me through because I had the nose. And you may have noticed there the track limits widget coming up there, because I used quite a lot of curve. The track limit system in this sim now is one of the best I have ever seen. It's absolutely fantastic. It knows whether you've done an off-track. It knows whether or not to penalise you for that, because of course it could have been an off-track to avoid an accident, or it could have been an off-track to gain time. It will evaluate whether you've gained time or not and respond appropriately. Also, if you do an illegal overtake, it will not just tell you to slow down and come right up the throttle or do something which I find that would be very dangerous to do on a racetrack. It will give you time to give the place back, which is fantastic. I'll try and do one of those illegal overtakes to show you exactly what I mean as we're going around here. Oh, and I've gone very wide, as did one of the AI cars there. I'm on the grass. Can I keep it together? And no. Oh dear. Well, that's not quite gone to plan, has it? I tell you what, seeing as things haven't gone to plan, I'll just show you this fun little thing about the track here. You can explore this track. You can drive straight onto the infield. And this track, of course, is built on an old airfield. You can see the planes over there. The runway is still here. Let's go and find it. Here's our runway. If you so feel like it, and look at that mist just hanging over the grass there, isn't that fantastic? You can drive down the runway in the middle of the track if you want to test out your car's top speed. How cool is that? So let's try and get back with the pack. And oh, just came onto the track in front of one of the other cars there. Didn't have time to slow down. I think he tried to. Have we picked up any damage? No, we're okay. It was only a small tap. Anyway, back to the AI. You can see how well the AI navigate around this track. They have no problems at all. And if I can catch up with them, I'll show you a little bit more. And I'm going to get a track limits warning there. See, it's evaluating whether I've gained any time. Taking some time to think about it. But it's going, no, you're all right. I've got my track limits on default. You can have them on strict. And on strict, I'd probably get a penalty in points for that. Anyway, let's catch back up to the AI. You can see how they were using a bit of the curve there and getting over it just fine. The curbs on this track and on all of them, you can feel all the different types of curbing for your force feedback. You can feel the edge of a rolled curb. You can feel the gaps in the serrated curves. It's fantastic. And the different parts of the track, you can feel every little bump. We're side by side with an AI car here. We're lifting slightly for this corner. I don't want to come off again. AI using all the curb on the outside there as well, as they should. You can feel everything. It's so detailed through Rfactor 2's famously fantastic force feedback. One thing I would say about this track, those bales over there, I think they're hay bales covered in plastic. I will say this, and this is a general thing with Rfactor 2, they are solid. You hit them like they're like concrete. Hit one of those at speed and that'll be a race over. I do wish that they were movable objects. And I know that Rfactor 2 can do this, because on some of the older tracks, say the old ISI version of 1970s Spa, that track has movable hay bales. I wish we could have that with the new content. I'd love to see more movable track signs. Those signs there, they're all movable. I just wish the hay bales were as well. But let's try and mix it up a little bit more between me and the AI here. I'm getting blue flag because I'm a lap behind, but I'm not too worried about the race because this is just a demonstration for you guys. Mainly just to see how the AI are. When I go over the different bits of tarmac like that, oh, bit of paint swapping as I ran into the car. It didn't yield, didn't move because he knew it was his corner. I didn't have any major problems. He did move out as far as he could to give me the space, but I couldn't bully him out of the corner. Oh, another thing I'll mention, especially on the soft tyres, it's quite, you don't want to be locking up too much in these cars, because if you flat spot your tyres, you will feel it through the steering. And after a while of it, if you get really bad flat spots, you really feel it through the steering. I have to say, so these are little darker bits of newer tarmac there. You can feel those. You can feel everything. It's absolutely superb. And as you can see, the AI's lines around this track are great. You know, you can't bully them out of the way, but once you've got the space, you can go for the gap. It's superb. So much. It's the best it's ever been. It really is. And oh, there we go. Just a slight luck up on the back end. Right. Okay. What I'm going to do now, we'll pull off into the pits, park the car up, and we'll go and have a quick look at one of the other new tracks. And we'll talk about that track, but also we'll talk a little bit about the car as well. And I've totally missed the pit entry lane, but that doesn't matter because we're popping off now to Croft. So I'll see you when I get there. So here we are at Croft, and I must just tell you immediately, Croft is a circuit I'm really not used to. In fact, I can't remember. I may have driven around it once in one of the mod versions of this track, but I'm really not that familiar with it, so I may be a bit slow around here. But I've got this track set up with unrestricted tyres. So let's go to our live timing, because I want to know what the AI are using. And there we go, look, they are using the soft tyres because we're on the unrestricted. I love the fact that I can see that, because I can now make my decision to either not do the same or do the same, I'm already selected on softs because that's what they're on. And once again, the detail at this track is fantastic. So if I come now to my free look camera, I can control with my mouse. I love the fact that you can do this in Rfactor 2 rather than just the camera following the cars. You can have a static camera on track and zoom in, zoom out, move it around with your mouse. It's fantastic. But look at the detail here, you know, just down to the foliage growing up the side of the pit buildings there. It's great. And there are our BTC cars. This track, just like Thruxton, it's the detail of it and its driving as well, and the laser scan is fantastic. Right, so let's start driving, talk a little bit about the track and a little about this lovely BMW. So here we are. Hopefully I can show you a little bit more of that fantastic track limit system as well as we're going round. And here we go. Now, little details like there's a bit of road on the infield there. You can drive over the grass and drive onto that, and it's properly modelled. It's properly modelled. Right, so we're coming into our first corner here. And I've taken out the bollard on the inside of the corner there. That is movable. The tyre, there's another one coming up at this chicane here on the inside there. That tyre wall on the left, and just behind me, or tyre barrier, that is solid, a bit like the hay bales at Thruxton. So you don't want to hit those, because you will come a cropper. Right, breaking into this right-hander I find quite challenging. It kind of tightens up. It's a lot tighter than you think it's going to be. And I love the fact this track is in here because it's really introduced me to it, and I love it. Can I make a move on this AI car? Right. Yeah. I just got the nose on him before the corner, and I've gone through. So immediately you can see the AI, once again, having no problem with this track. Getting around here, their lines are good. You know, let's try and be a bit awkward and get... Right, so I'm not a nose ahead, and he's kept the corner. Hasn't ran me off the road, but has sternly kept the corner. I've had to yield to him there. You can't bully the AI here. You can't bully the AI in Rfactor, but if I was in front of him, he would yield and give me that corner. Those blue signs there, they are movable, so you do have movable track objects here. As you can see, that bollard's now gone from the inside because we knocked it down. I do wish there were more movable objects, though, around the track area. But the AI are just... The racing with them is absolutely fantastic, as you can see. Let's get down to talking about the car, because this is going to be the last example that I use the BTCC cars for. So, what do I think of this new BMW? In fact, have you got this? What do you think of the new BMW? How do you find it in comparison to the other rear-wheel drive car, the Infinity, which is in front of me now? Let me know in the comments. I personally love it. I really do. In terms of a comparison to the Infinity there, I will say this, they're extremely similar. And I'd say the same for all of the front-wheel drive cars. They are all very, very similar. And the reason for that is because the BTCC rules, let's try and make a move down here, are quite strict these days. And basically, the cars are running with all of the same parts. They have standardised dampers, springs, even down to things like suspension arms, fuel tanks, the lot. You know, the only difference they really have are the chassis. They're all using the same gearboxes, the same engines. Oh, that was tight. I had to give back the corner. You know, all of the front-wheel drive cars have the same top speeds in each gear as each other because they all use the same gearbox and same engine. It's the same with both the BMW and the FQ50, same top speed in every gear, same top speed in general. And they do handle extremely similarly because of all of those standardized parts. But is there a difference? Yes, there is. The moment you get in the BMW, before you do a few laps and you can immediately feel the difference. It's hard to put your finger on, but it's there. And I'd say with the BMW, I just find that it's the car with the slightly better chassis or the slightly better setup. You can get a bit more lift-off understeer out of it, so it's better in the corners using that technique. If the back end gets a little bit sideways, it's a little bit easier to control than the Infiniti. The power delivery seems somewhat different. I'm not sure if that's just the slightly different engine sounds giving me a placebo effect, but it does feel, it's just... And it's the same with the front wheel drive cars. There are these tiny little subtle differences between them all. I mean, out the front wheel drive cars, if you took two of the normal road cars, road versions of the car, like the Hyundai and the Ford, put them on a normal paint job, not a livery, just put them in a car park side by side to each other, both cars painted white or both cars painted blue, and walk away and look at them from a distance. They're so similar that they actually it'd be hard to tell the difference between the two cars from a distance. They're even similar aesthetically. But the BMW's just got the edge for me over the Infiniti. Not that I don't enjoy driving the Infiniti. The back end's a little bit slightly more untamed. When it understeers, it's hard to get the steering back. However, in the BMW, I do find the understeer character. You can get understeer out of the BMW. It's very, very well balanced, the BMW. But I can recover from the understeer better in the BMW. This corner around here, so tight. Could do with VR or 3 screens to be able to see through that corner. So, I mean, that's what I think of the BMW. What do you think of the BMW? Have you driven it? Do you like it? How different? Oh, lost my back end a little bit there on my down change because I shouldn't have down. Well, and I have to tell you, I'm now getting a bit carried away. The racing now is with the AI. It's so good. And there you go. I understood a little bit through that corner, as did the car in front of me, strangely enough, and I kind of followed him through there. Let's see if I can try and do an illegal overtake, just to show you that track limits working again. I think I'll wait till I get back round to the chicane after the grid straight, or the pit straight. Or possibly up here. I'll do it up here. So, let's go for a completely illegal overtake. Shameless. And oh, I'm going to end up hitting someone. Oh my god, they avoided me. Wow. Well done, AI. Right, that's interesting. That was a completely illegal overtake, complete off track. I didn't get a penalty. Why is that? Probably because I am on the relaxed, or rather the default penalties. If I had it on strict, it would penalise me for that. Let's see if I can get one by going the wrong way over the chicane here. So I've made an overtake. Ah, there we go. Illegal pass. I've got 16 seconds to get it back. And there we go. So it's working very nicely. I don't know why that first one didn't take effect. Did I overtake a car there, or did I just think I did? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. If not, might be a track limits warning. I need to let Studio 397 know about that. You can cut that corner without getting a track limits. Let's see if I can do it again, see what it does. I'm not sure if I did overtake a car or not there, so that might be the reason. One moment. And make sure I've definitely overtaken a car. Right. And I've crashed it, but I've also got an illegal pass there, look, so it is working. So that's fully working. But oh, this track it's just lovely. It really is. So let's go and pop our car in the pits. By the way, about this track, one thing you should know, if you're having a race here, I'm going to come out of the pits again just to show you this. All of the cars, they're lining up for this right-hander when they come down this straight, so they're hard up against this wall. So, if you're in a race situation here and you have to pit, be careful when you exit, because this is your pit exit. It comes straight into the line of fire from the other cars, and they will not just move over for you, so you're best to sort of make sure there's a gap and wait, or stay off the racing line before you do. Right, so we're going to go and have a look at another track now. So before we do, let's just jump out of here. We've got 2 more tracks to look at and another car as well. Before we do that, this is all great and I love it, but are there any issues that I've found? And I want this to be an open and honest review. Yes, there are issues. This is Rfactor 2. And, well, we all know that Rfactor 2 does have issues. So, Rfactor 2, you could go out and buy a very expensive luxury road car, and it would be very reliable. You'd spend lots of money on it, but it would be very reliable, very comfy, and it would just work. But you're not going to break any lap records in it. You could go out and spend a lot of money on a thoroughbred racing car, and you will be setting laps. But it's going to have issues because it's built for one thing, which is speed and speed only. I've always found Rfactor 2 a bit like that. It's a bit like the difference between owning a Ford Mondeo and an old Alfa Romeo or an old Ferrari. They're amazing when they work, but you will spend quite a bit of time in the garage having to tinker with it when it goes inevitably wrong, but like an old TVR or something like that. Rfactor 2 is like that. So are there issues? Yes, there are still some issues, but I'm pretty damn certain with the work that's being done now on Rfactor 2 and their progress that they're all going to be ironed out. So for instance, the AI sometimes still have a weird problem with curbs and rolling over when they really shouldn't be. So for instance, this still happens. Here's a couple of examples. So that's still there. You see it occasionally. It doesn't happen a lot, but you do see it occasionally. Also, if we come to one of our H-pattern cars, so like the new Caterhams that have been in since the last content drop. So this is a H-pattern shifting car, as is the new Mini that was released with the last content drop. Their gearboxes still act like they're sequentials, so you can't skip shift like you would normally do in a H-pattern car by going, say, from 4th to 2nd. If you try and do that, it just won't register. You have to go down sequentially. Now, that is something that's a bugbear of mine, but just this week, we've had, I made a mention of this on the forums over at Studio 397, and I had one of the staff get back to me, tell me that it is a bug, and they're totally aware of it, and they are seeing to it. So it's going to be sorted, so I'm very happy about that. I know it will, because there are already other Studio 397 cars, like the older Brabham BT 440, 44. If I'm getting the numbers right there, I can't quite remember. But that has a working gearbox. You can skip shift. So it will happen with these cars. So I'm safe in the knowledge that that's going to be sussed. So that's an issue out of the way with, really. There is still, and this is especially important for you guys out there who have very strong direct drive wheels, there is still an issue that if you're in a race and you press escape and you press restart race, your wheel goes a bit mental. This happens.
Just ignore it.
I'm going to try that again. Oh!
Restart it, get the clutch in next time. 20.
So it goes properly mental. If you want to, I don't know what's going on with that, but that's something I don't like. But if you want to avoid that, when you escape out of a race, don't press restart from within your driving screen. Press escape to pit and then restart the race from session controls, and you won't get that. So that is an issue you can get around. Other than that, things are running smoothly than ever. So let's get on to one of these other fantastic new tracks and a fantastic new car. So we are going, I've forgotten how to spell Bahrain there, to Bahrain. All I've had to do is type it in and find it easy. Now look, we have 4 different configurations of the road course, the endurance course, the outer loop, and the paddock layout. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. There are sims where you only get the one layout. This has got 4 layouts of that track. I've not even had time to try all of these. I've been trying out this course here, and I've stuck to one course because I'm not very good at Bahrain. I have driven Bahrain before in mod versions, but this is the first ever laser scanned version of it, and it is fantastic. So we are going to go there with the new Vanwall Vandervell hypercar, and this thing is hyper. It really is. Now, I'm not so used to driving this car, so I'm going to lower my AI by another 5% to try and keep up. And I'll see you when I get to the track. So, here we are at Bahrain, and I'm just going to open up the window here and get our free look camera working. Look at this. This is fantastic. I've chosen as well, you can see the television screen there. I've chosen night time for this track as well, because of course the F1 races are held there at night, and it just looks spectacular with the night lighting and all the floodlights. It's rather fantastic, and I'm pretty sure this laser scan version of it, I'm sure it's the track's original designer, Herman Tilke, and this track has his name stamped all over it. You can easily tell Herman Tilke tracks. I'm sure he'd be proud. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's get out there and drive around before I get carried away with scenery. So we're in the hypercar, and this thing is, well, first of all, let's just see what tyres they're on. They're on softs. What have I got to choose from here? So I've got softs, mediums, hards, intermediates, and wets. Intermediates, that's interesting. Now, I've driven this car. I'm not great at getting around this track, but I have to tell you, the more I drive this track, the more I'm really starting to get the flow for it and really enjoy it. I'm not great with this track and this car, but I'm going to try and keep up. What I have discovered from some plastic practice runs with this car is that when you get to high speeds, this car, you've got built-in traction control here. So I'm going to leave that on, because in low speed corners it can get a bit wily on the back end. But high speed, the aero kicks in, it just holds the thing down. But so much so that if you don't have your suspension set right, it can ground it. It will ground out. So I'm going to pop in some packers for this track to stop that suspension from grounding out, hopefully. As the aero comes in and pushes that car down. And let's get out there and see if I can keep up. Now, here we go. Right. Just look at that lighting up there underneath the just over the spectators. This car has an anti-stall mechanism in it. So if you don't get your clutch right coming off the line there, you can easily make that kick in, and it won't stall. It'll cut power to the engine, or cut power to the drive line, and keep the engine running. That's an interesting little thing about this car. The other thing that you'll notice first off when driving this car is visibility. Your visibility in this car is very restricted. Am I making a pass? Am I actually making a pass? No, I'm giving it back. It's hard to see out of this car because of these tremendously wide front and left front and right uprights there. They're quite thick, and this isn't just, you know, because I'm on a single screen either. You take other prototype cars like the Leger, and these struts here are a lot thinner. They're a lot easier to see round. It is this car, even in VR, it's just the nature of how this car will be in real life when we first see it on the track. Because of course, oh, we've got, oh, problems. Ah, couldn't slow down in time. And look, there's a, that's the anti-stall that's just kicked in there. So I'll pop my clutch in and got it running again. How much damage has that given us? Not too much. You will see on the inside of the car, if you can just see that, I'll try and stop. It's going to come on in a moment. Right, that's a yellow flag indicator inside the car. That's built into the car. I'm going to restart that race because I wasn't concentrating. That's my excuse. And I'm not going to use restart race from in the game there. I'm going to come out and restart it from session controls. That way I've got no risk of my steering wheel going mental. Yeah, very limited visibility. It's great in VR that you can, you know, look around, but it's hard to see. This car has made its way into the game before it's gone out onto the racetrack in real life. And from what I understand, it was the race team who got in contact with Studio 397. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but they got in touch with Studio 397 to see if their car, and I'm going to do it again if I'm not careful, they got in touch with Studio 397 to have to ask if their car could be put in the sim. Now usually it's the other way around. A developer will go to a car manufacturer or team to request their car to be put inside the sim. That, I think, is a very strong example of how well regarded Rfactor 2's physics are. Once again, tell me in the comments if you disagree. But for a team to request from the studio themselves that they put the car in the game, I think that stands up for what they think of the realism of the physics engine and the capabilities of Rfactor 2. But anyway, back to the car. This car, you can choose from two different sets of gears in your setup screen. You've got your standard setup and your Le Mans setup. This car on standard will do 196 miles per hour. On the Le Mans gearing, that goes up to about 217 miles per hour. It is one quick cookie, this car. And just look at this track. I can barely concentrate on my driving through looking around the track. Ah, now you see the sparks coming off the undertray of the car in front there. So it's grounding out there a little bit. I am not getting any sparks of the back of mine at the moment. I think it's because I added those packers in there to reduce the amount that the suspension will compress by. and that's worked out rather nicely. Just look at the thing go. Again, I'm being careful on my braking. I don't want to lock up, don't want to get flat spots. And there is a little bit of back end swing there coming out of the low speed corner on the throttle. That's what that traction control is there for. It's got a lot of power. And people were asking as well, I've seen people asking on the forums if this is the hybrid version. This is not using hybrid power, so it is just the engine, as far as I know. But once you get used to this car, you get used to the restricted vision. Oh, it's just great. Oh, and look! There's been an accident there. And we saw, you can see that built-in, just up there, I've got a built-in yellow flag indicator in the car. And he's going through on the inside there. By the way, if you do want better visibility in this car, you can of course turn on your all three virtual mirrors option up the top there. So then you can see the cars just behind or to the side. If you look at these structures over here and the way that the light's shining off them, it's just fantastic. Anyway, I think that's about enough of Bahrain. There's that little barrier that I moved earlier. Right. Look at that building over there that's all lit up. It's just tremendous. And I've driven around here in VR in this car, and it's even better. It's fantastic. Right. So we're going to leave Bahrain now, and we're going to look at our last track. And this is going to be an interesting one, because this track has caused quite a lot of controversy that it was included in the Q4 update. I've got to tell you now, I'm really, really glad I've got it. So, what's the track? That track is the London Formula E track. Yeah, now I know. Wait up a minute there, you folks out there who are opposed to Formula E. Because I've seen it on the forums, people saying, oh, Formula E is an abomination. Why have we got a Formula E track? I've got to say, I have a lot of the Formula E content, including the cars and tracks, and I really enjoy it. I really do. But here's the but. If you're a pure petrol head, and no Formula E, must have fossil cars. I call fossil cars fossil fuel. Not that they are old fossils or anything. If you like your fossil fuel cars, this track with some of the smaller, lower powered cars, non-electric cars like the Austin Mini, the Caterham, it's just, well, let me show you, because this, look at the layout of this track before we go there. Look at that layout. I love this track. I'm calling it the Mini Macau. The Mini Macau. It's amazing. You'll see what I mean when we get there. So to pay it credence, and once again, hold your horses here, you guys who don't like Formula E. I am going to take a Formula E car there first, just to show you how the AI deal with it, because this is what it's designed for. But then I'm going to show you something else. So, I'll see you at the track. Right, so here we are at the London Formula E track. And like I said, I'm very glad this track was included in the pack. Let's just see. Oh, of course, there's only one type of tyre we can choose from, so I don't need to worry about that too much. It's Michelin all-weathers. Right. So, we're on the all-weather tyres. We're in the Formula E. what I'm going to do here is just quickly, just for those of you who do like Formula E, like myself, I don't mind it. One thing I do find, one of the challenges of these cars is because of the batteries, they're about 250 kg more heavy than, or have about 250 kg more weight than a normal F1 car. They don't stop as well, and you can see here that the brakes are down at 80%. I'd take that down by another 10, even 20%, just to help you with lockups. Also on the Gen 2 cars, I do find that you can, the braking's sort of 55 to the front. On those cars, you can bring that down to about 52, and it stops the fronts locking up so much. This Gen 1 car, I'd leave it about 55. But anyway, enough of that. Let's just have a look at how the AI deal with this track, because this is one of those tracks, like, it's like Monaco. It's hard to get AI to go around a track like this cleanly. Very much like Macau. This track it's kind of like, it's almost like starting off at an indoor kart centre and then ended up on the streets of London. And it is very London. Let me show you. Right. I'm just going to be using my 2 side mirrors there. Here we go. Look at that. I do like the sounds of these cars. It reminds me of watching Knight Rider when I was a kid, because that had the electric sounds, and I've just gone straight into the car in front. Excuse me, folks. Let's just restart that race. That was totally intentional. That was to show you the damage capabilities of Rfactor 2. You see, you hit something, the wing comes off. Honestly. Right, concentrate this time. Pull. But I love this. Right. So this time, I've got to remember to brake. But yeah, these cars sound like Kit from Knight Rider. Right, this first corner, I'm up by the side of the AI, and look, we've all got through cleanly. The one behind me is avoiding me. I've not got the space to get through there. And look how tight it is getting around here. Watch out for this blue and red bit of bollarding on the inside. It's quite hard to see. This is another track which is really good in VR because the corners are so tight. You know, if you've got VR or triple screens, it enables you to be able to see around them a lot better. But it's perfectly doable in single screen. Just look at this. We're coming up now, and this is the part of the track that reminds me of Macau here. You've got this super tight, super sharp couple of hairpins here. And look at the AI navigating through there. This corner as well. Now we're getting to a faster part of the track. And this is the bit I love. It's so London, it's so industrial. Mixed with these big office buildings and things like that. It's just fantastic. That part of the track there, you really want to go hell for leather. But it's also really quite bumpy. So you really have to think about that. Look at this. It's superbly modelled. And I am really having a lot of fun driving around here, and I'm surprised at how well the AI cope with it. There's an AI car there, just as I say that, having a problem. Don't know what's happened to him. Although I have to say, from the Formula E races that I've seen on TV, you rarely get one that started without one of the cars hitting another one, hitting a wall, or damaging itself, or 2 or 3 of them, you know, on the first lap. And you do also have, on this track, there is an area where you can activate your attack mode, but I'm not using that at the moment because we're just racing the AI and they don't use the attack modes, but you can in online races. Anyway, that's enough of that for the moment. Let's just park the car up here. Now, for you petrol heads out there, I want to show you something really good. So I'm going to come out of here and leave the track. Now, with this track, cars that are good round here are cars with really good steering angle, so a lot of lock, and smaller cars as well, and nothing too powerful because there's no point, because you can't achieve very high top speeds around this track. Some of those corners are 27 mile an hour corners, you know. Cars that do well round here are the Austin Mini here. They're great fun round that track, and the AI get them round there really, really well. And the Caterham. They're a hell of a lot of fun around this track. Really, really good. But here's an interesting one for you. Now, years ago, there was a mod that was made for Rfactor 2 that was so good, it almost made it actually into the game itself. I think, and this is back when ISI were still in charge of Rfactor. I think they got in contact with the mod team, and they were going to include the car, but then it never happened because, of course, ISI then sold on the sim to Studio 397. That didn't happen, but I have that mod. If you want this mod, you can find it in the workshop, in the Steam workshop for Rfactor 2, and that is, if I type in PAL there, that is the Palatov D4. This is a real car. Very unusual one. Have a look at this little fella. Those of you who are into Rfactor 2 will probably be well aware of this. If you're new to Rfactor 2, you might not be. So you'll find this in the Rfactor 2 workshop. You can search for it under Palatov. This tiny little short wheelbase, it's so short wheelbase, it makes it perfect for that track. Because with a short wheelbase, it's great at getting around really tight corners. You've got, I think, a Hayabusa or a motorbike engine to your right-hand side in this car. So you're sitting on one side of the car, the motorbike engine is on the other, rather than in front or behind you, which is why the car is able to be so short. And it's got extreme acceleration and really good under braking. So it stops and starts really, really quickly. And that is exactly what you want for this track. So I'm going to go to the track now, and I'll just hang around and I'll show you this. I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, so here we are back at the track in the Palatov. Look at that. Look at that car. So you've got the driver here on the left-hand side, the engine on the right-hand side. And we're going to take it out here at the Formula E track. I'm going to end on this part of the video, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you have and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you think the video was all right. And any comments you'd like to leave in the comments, get back to me on what you think of all of this new stuff. What do you think of Rfactor 2's inclusion in low fuel motorsports? It's just, in terms of online action, it has revived the game. There are pack servers all day long. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's have a look at how this little car, this fantastic high revving little car, gets around this track. This is so much fun. Here we are. I love the fact that you can see through the body and see the suspension assembly on these. Right. Hard on the brakes. It stops so well. Look at that. Now, can we all get through cleanly here? Yeah. Got a car to my left there. He's right by my side. We got through there side by side. He's still there. Once the field thins out, then these cars can really get some legs around here. Dare I make a move on the inside here? We're absolutely neck and neck through that corner, but cleanly. Oh, fantastic. And it accelerates, and then it stops so damned well. This is a combo I would highly recommend. It really is rather damn good. The short wheelbase works out so well for these cars on this track. Try not to lose it on this last bump there. You saw the car in front of me. It's getting a little bit sideways. There is a big bump there. Once again, this track is laser scanned and feels, you can just feel everything. And it really has got that London atmosphere to it. You know, down by the Thames, industrial mixed with office buildings, all of that. And then you've got this unusual indoor part of the track. Question is, can I actually gain a space here? Can I make an overtake? I should be using a lot more brakes than I am, but I'm almost scared of them because it's quite unbelievable how quickly you stop in these things. Oh, almost went through it there, but he had the nose. There's that blue and orange block there. Do be careful of that if you're in a car with quite high sides and you can't see it. It can take you out. Oh! Right, can I make an overtake here? Very, very hard to overtake on this track, but as I've just proved there, not impossible. It's so close, and there he goes on my inside there. And I've nearly got on the back of him. Oh, we got a car that's spun there, probably coming off that last bump. Can I try and get through it? No, he's going through on the outside of the green car. Can I follow him? Yes! I've just touched the back end of him just slightly. We were side by side through that tight little corner there, and the AI dealing with it perfectly well. Talking of that, by the way, there are going to be problems if you try and choose cars for this track that really, really don't suit it. You know, like I say, even the Formula E cars which it's designed for, generally, first lap there's going to be problems. Oh, we've got past the green car. Can I get past the red car? No! Nearly hit the wall, but just ended up on top of the curbing instead, so that's okay. If you choose something like the big, fat, wide GTE or GT3 cars, and you put a large field of them on this grid, you might just get away with it with a small field of maybe 12 cars, but with a larger grid, you are going to have problems because, of course, those cars do not have a turning circle anywhere like the turning circle on these little things, or the Caterham, or the Formula E's. And we've made a pass around the red car there. So yeah, I would shy away from those cars. If you put the GT3s on here, for instance, you will end up with a situation reminiscent of that massive GT3 pile-up they had at Macau years ago. So basically, I'll show you what will happen. If you put those cars on this track, this is going to happen. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, so you see what I mean, right? Point made. Anyway, that is about all I've got time for. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you have enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button for future videos. Also, when I run my live servers, you can come and race with me and the rest of the subscribers on one of the live servers that I run every now and then. And it'd be great to have you on board. Just the scenery around here is awesome. Anyway, I'm waffling now. So I'm going to say see ya. Have a great day sim racing. And I'll see you out on track soon. Cheers all, happy sim racing. If you want this channel to survive, do me a favor and hit subscribe. May seem like a small thing to do, but it enables me to make more videos for you. By hitting that button, you can help us survive. Survive and keep this channel alive. Don't cost nothing, don't take no time. Come on now, keep this channel alive.